Ah, a classic suburban backdrop, a great place for— wait, this isn't Earth. Oh, this is a neighborhood in SKELETONCREW. Well, Lazer Brainiacs, the trailers have been coming out for months, and the show is almost here, so I want to dive into many of the things we know and suspect. Do you want to know the very unexpected crossover we already know is in the show? And did you notice the music reference plopped right into the latest SKELETONCREW trailer to give you the feels? Find out what it is next in this video. And as we start, it would be really, wizard if you would leave a like for us and subscribe for more cool stuff. Do it. Now on to adventure. Star Wars SKELETONCREW is an upcoming series on Disney Plus starring Jude Law as a space pirate and some kind of Jedi named Jod. He encounters a group of space kids, including young Wim, played by the voice of Antonio in Encanto, and apparently, supposedly, he promises to get them home.
Come with me if you want to live.
Hey, was the name Wim chosen as a respelling to highlight the character's adventurous spirit? The word whim in a dictionary is defined a sudden wish or idea, especially one that cannot be reasonably explained. This would certainly be character traits for him that would lead to adventure. On a whim. Get it? Okay. Now, Lucasfilm has been pretty tight-lipped about much of this series, but there have been bits and pieces of information picked up by journalists and fans, and pesky probe droids along the way. Let's take a look at some of the show's inspirations and possible Easter eggs and tie-ins to the bigger galaxy far, far away. First up, how did you feel watching the trailers for SKELETONCREW? You can let us know below. But if you felt a certain feeling reminding you of watching movies when you were a kid, then you are already sensing the inspirations for the series. More recently, SKELETONCREW gives Stranger Things vibes, definitely. But that's because Stranger Things also has the sort of 80s and 90s family adventure movie style honed by directors and producers like Steven Spielberg, Chris Columbus, and Richard Donner for films like E.T., Goonies, or Hook. Nostalgia for these kinds of films is not just because it reminds us of being kids ourselves looking and dreaming of adventure, but because these films are usually just fun, full of fantastical sets and characters, and appeal to both kids and adults to watch together. In fact, the directors talk extensively about this Amblin factor, referencing the Spielberg movie company, and definitely spread the inspiration while filming, because we've heard the kids in interviews also mention the Amblin inspirations.
We're always asking what are the tonal inspirations for the show, and it's not like you and I have ever consciously sat down and said, well,
right, made a list.
Yeah, a list of it's going to be a little bit of this Amblin wonder magic with a hint of this. That's just in our DNA.
Along with it being a bonding experience, it was also us getting used to the Amblin style that would be played with so much in SKELETONCREW.
Now, what if I told you that I believe, and this will sound crazy, that they purposely ripped off, well, we'll say borrowed, the E.T. theme in one of the last trailers to already make you feel nostalgic for this show? Well, sort of, but hear me out. In the Star Wars main theme, John Williams, the greatest movie composer of all time, used the same first 5 notes in each of those themes. So what we hear is Star Wars, but the theme continues down to a note an octave below on the 6th and 7th note where it usually jumps up. But since we know they want to evoke that Amblin nostalgia that they talked about, it also makes you think of E.T. Listen to this part of the trailer.
No idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
Sound familiar? Look at it again.
We have no idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
If they didn't do this on purpose to make you remember both Star Wars and flying bikes, then it's accidental genius. A big question has been, where and when does SKELETONCREW take place? Well, we know that the show takes place around 5 years following Return of the Jedi, so we will be in the same era as The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, but well before episodes 7 through 9. We don't know if those parallel stories will tie in at all to SKELETONCREW, but we do know this is a turbulent time in the galaxy following the fall of the Empire. And just like in the other post-Jedi shows, we see patrols of New Republic X-Wings on patrol. Jude Law also appears to read a similar ancient language written on a wall that we've seen around the same time in Ahsoka, and in animated shows and even games, leading to speculation from fans about further connections, and the release picture might be on a planet called Zepho, where Sith powers may be waiting. Okay, after that possible major connection, let's take a look at some other Easter eggs and cool things we are guessing about or already know are coming, and stick around for the craziest and weirdest connection nobody could have predicted. As with any Star Wars property, we've already been treated to a look at many familiar things, like ships and aliens. This show will have no shortage of things to geek out about, and creatures that you probably have action figures of on a shelf. Now, because of some interview retractions and very brief hints in the trailers, people have been deep digging into why the planet the kids live on is so unknown. There's definitely something more than just family neighborhoods and schools going on. Could these 4 kids' parents be former members of the Empire in a New Republic amnesty program? That would explain why they are hidden, and maybe the droids we see lurking are more parole droids or police droids, making sure they don't leave their designated zones. The kids going off planet would surely raise alarms. Next up, in the trailer we see Wim trying to use Old Republic credits, and an alien even calls it out. Wim probably found them in the old temple on his planet, and it attracts unwanted attention. We've seen an alien pirate from The Mandalorian named Vane will appear in the show, and probably a familiar pirate syndicate. Maybe they'll be the ones chasing the kids. Now, here's a stranger thing. We know there aren't many tires in the Star Wars universe, but the kids in this nostalgia-driven show have to have bike scenes, right? That's where we see the new, adorable little kid speeder bikes come into play. Don't you wish they had those in Toys R Us when you were a kid? But what are speeders with no Ewoks to go with them? Well, actually, that brings us to our next future Easter egg to expect. The director of one of the episodes did mention we would see a character or species from Ewoks, The Battle for Endor, and that will be Teak. Although there was a suit in the movie because one actor refused to talk to puppets, David Lowery said the new show did have a puppet version.
Oh yeah. The characters that were like off screen and stuff.
Yeah, didn't he do, what's his name, the little puppet dude?
The old
guy.
You can say that.
And speaking of old Star Wars TV shows, John Watts, one of the producers and writers of Skeleton Crew, has confirmed we will see a recreation of a scene from the, interesting Star Wars Christmas special. But because the footage was so old, they had to recreate everything to include this reference, or maybe gag, in the show, from new music to new costumes. This is sure to be a Life Day gift to us all, right, Chewie? Now, as we come to the end, here's the most out there thing we've seen with the Skeleton Crew trailers. Eagle-eyed, longtime Disney Parks fans might have already caught this. In the 80s, George Lucas produced a 3D show with his friend, Francis Ford Coppola, for Disney's Epcot Center. It starred Michael Jackson, and it was called Captain EO. Along the way, EO had a furry little friend on his adventure. Look familiar? That's right. We see this poor creature, Fuzzball, or one of his species, in a little cage in the trailers. Not only that, but it seems funny that a couple of characters in this old show could easily be said to inspire the cast of characters in the new show. Do you think there's a connection there? Is Captain EO now Star Wars canon?
Infidel. You infect my world with your presence.
One thing is for sure, Star Wars Skeleton Crew is going to be a fun ride, whether the rumors and speculation comes true, or if they take us somewhere we didn't even see coming. I know I can't wait to see those first 2 episodes when it premieres, and I may even want a Neil figure of my own. He is cool. Do you find any of these Easter eggs or crossovers interesting? Is there anything else you think might happen in the show? Let us know, and please do leave a like, it's for the kids. They only have Old Republic credits after all, and subscribe to get more positive geek content about all kinds of things. Be a laser brainiac with us. Thanks so much.